and Telluride get master's degrees. Like, I think we can go bigger than that, right? What does it mean to have a university's presence in one of the most creative, innovative towns on the planet accelerate the possibilities of what the good life is? That's together.
Jim Trulock, I'm a transplant from Georgia, retired out here 3 years ago. I'm so interested from the scientific and a community interest type thing.
Great.
Thank you for letting me come.
And Tim, do you have a scientific background or more of a passion as a citizen scientist?
I'm a retired surgeon.
Excellent. Wow. Wow. Well, welcome. Honored you're here.
My name is John Wachowski. I am the town manager up in Over, Colorado, which is a bedroom community of about 200 people, one watershed over from Telluride. I've only been there about 3 months. I'm kind of new to it. I do feel like there is an important relationship to be created between local government and academic families, I guess, if you'd say. When I was getting my master's degree, one of my instructors was the county manager for Pitkin County, and she had always had an academic presence in Pitkin County, usually studying more management theory. But I found that to be interesting, and I thought it was beneficial as well.
Well, John, I know you have an MPA.
Yes.
With a project based in compost. The MEM is seen as sort of environmental MPA, but it sounds like you did it anyway.
Mhm.
And we've had master's projects in terms of city doing climate action plans for Netherland, Lyons, Gunnison. We did some energy efficiency work for the city of Montrose, Salida on alternative transportation. So we want to keep. And we met with the mayor here on a number of projects, right, Chris? So, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like Over has a very high sustainability and environmental ethic among its citizens.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. Hello.
Hi, I'm Tessa.
Hi, Tessa.
I'm a student, an MEM student living in Telluride. I'm working with Chris Hazen in the county on the payment for system service project as mentioned. And that's likely something around that.
That's Tessa.
That's me.
That's Tessa. How are you both here? Hi, Rebecca.
I'm Rebecca. I'm just here to see what it's all about.
Where do you come from, Rebecca?
I grew up in Florida, but I live here now. Yeah.
What? And you were a biology, you said,
Thank you.
Rebecca, you said you were a biology student?
Yeah, I have a degree in biology, focused on ecology, evolution, and environmental science. Kind of been like throwing the idea of getting my master's at some point, but I didn't want to leave Telluride. So like this is kind of a good fit, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, when I created this master's in Gunnison, one of my motivators was in the early 90s. I was a tea coach / dishwasher / student. And my bachelor's, it killed me that I had to leave my beloved valley to advance my education so that I could come back. And so one of the inspirations behind the master's in the Gunnison Valley in Tessa was helping folks stay here, work with organizations that make their valley even more the place they love, and turn that passion into a master's. And now we're trying on for size with Garrett and Tucker's help. What does it look like to do it in another valley like Telluride? So I hope that's a good fit. Hey, Chris, it's been a while.
Hey there, it's nice to see you.
Nice those boots.
I often walk through snow and slush this way.
Serious boots.
Do you like them?
Yes.
Yeah, keep me warm. Dry. Yeah, sorry I don't have a headshot, so you can't.
I know.
We can't do the double whammy.
I know.
I'm a second year MEM student, so MEM candidate. So I'll be completing my master's project at the end of April, or at the beginning of April. My project is focused on distributed solar generation in this region, so the San Miguel Power Association. distribution area. I've also been working with Eco Action Partners over the past year on their climate action planning. So everything from data collection for greenhouse gas through to forecasting using different softwares. Yeah. Oh, and I live with Chris Wilson on a farm.
I heard they let you into the house.
Yeah, they did.
They moved you in from the livestock.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, I never got that off.
Another Chris
Hey, Chris.
Holstrom. I've been around here for 35 years now. Actually grew up in Fort Collins, and my dad was dean of forestry, so I combine all this honestly. But now I'm a county commissioner and have seen, and through, when John was getting his and Michelle Haynes was getting her master's, and Tessa now on board, just seeing the myriad of possibilities from my perspective now as an elected official, and all the little bits and pieces of things that I think a MEM student could help us with. Although we value you highly, you're a lot cheaper than a full-time employee. And you also bring something that someone looking for a career may not, which is enthusiasm and passion. And just this huge network of latest information. So I am here for lots of reasons. I've had farm interns on my farm up until last year for 27 years or so. So I've always valued that multi-generational learning, and this is part of it as well. So that is one reason we let him in the house. Now he was living in a year when he got cold. But we're also, through the Tyrant Institute, we're also housing now scientists in yurts instead of farm interns, which is also really fun. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Rex.
Who managed to make it through your permaculture class and not get offered to even stay in the yurt. So. No, yeah, I'm Rex Library. I work at the high school. I'll be trying to woo future kids to the program. I went into classes today, told them about it really quickly, and high school kids thinking about a master's degree, I think is maybe a little bit of a step, but I'm like, well, we've got these environmental science classes and all that. I came here with I'm originally from Atlanta and ended up getting a master's in biology and pesticide toxicology, University of Washington in Seattle. And then came here and started teaching chemistry because I had a master's in biology. So I ended up having to get a master's in that too. So I have a lot, I love school, and I want kids to, find it as contagious as I did. And to see you guys doing programs and possible projects out here, I would love to be able to pipe in some local high school students to get their feet boggy and, do some environmental sampling or whatever along with your projects. So want to be as synergistic as I can to help out and maybe help grow the program.
Did we meet in the zoning crib a couple years ago, Rex?
Could have been. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
We have a 3+2. So for high school students, right, we have a bachelor's if they add 1 year.
Oh,
which
nice.
is
Yeah,
the
the
master's.
5th year master's, that's right.
Yeah, and that 5th year is the master's project.
Mhm.
So, and then what Chris was saying, one of the things I'll show you in a second that's really exciting about the MEM program is that these projects can happen all over the world. We put out about 25,000 hours a year of master's projects to extend the reach of overextended organizations, accelerate the pace of organizations. And so like, I was listening to you talk, Chris, I was going to say, anytime I drive into a new mountain town, I'm looking around, I'm like, that's a master's project, that's a master's project, that's a master's project. It's just a really fun, like kind of a mini environmental Peace Corps. It's a great way to just empower people who want to build like a livelihood based on their values, or tired of whatever they're doing where they live, who have an intellectual passion, but also to really like kind of crank it up for community organizations who have a lot of turnover or just, have staff limitations. So welcome, Aya.
I'm Aya. I'm here because that's my dad.
Adelaide is here for Big Mountain Comp. And judges are tough, so we don't know if she qualified for Sunday. So if you see her like this, that means her phone told her she made Sunday. If you see her like this, we'll all have a little pity party for her. She gets like pizza either way. Hey, Paul. Hey, let's meet Paul Big.
my name's Paul. Been living in Telluride for 5 years. I moved here from Western Massachusetts. Had a degree in natural resource conservation. Been doing seasonal work, working at the ski resort with Rebecca, teaching snowboarding. And then the summers, I've been doing work with the Bureau of Land Management, collecting water quality data. This year, in spring, I guess it was spring of last year, I started an internship with Telluride Institute, and I've helped them with all of their programs, Mushroom Festival, Prospect Basin Fence, helping scientists living in Europe collect data, helping Garrett with the watershed education program. I'm in my first year of the MEM program and enjoying it, and still trying to figure out who I'm partnering with for that $600 project. It'll likely be the San Miguel Watershed Coalition. We're doing a lot of restoration work, and Adrian's been talking to you, I think, about your property on the mainland. So yeah, the point of these projects are to reconnect rivers with floodplains by installing beaver dam analogs, which slow down water flows and reconnect rivers with floodplains, which can benefit streams for increasing water tables and increasing biodiversity, repairing vegetation, all that good stuff.
And he cut his hair.
And I cut my hair. Yeah. Luscious locks.
Luscious locks. Do you donate those?
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
Garrett.
My name's Garrett. I guess I'm the mentor babysitter in Telluride. I'm just kidding. So yes, I teach at WCU. I also work for TI. I'm also from Georgia.
Hey.
Went to Rex's rival high school. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here and share about the program. I'm not really a big talker.
Dr. Smith, I think that's a unique position. It's part nonprofit, part faculty. We have actually 3 of those positions in the Clark School. But he's the only one like located almost 3 hours away. So this whole vision can live or die based on how well we take care of Garrett Smith. He's an incredibly talented teacher, very field-based, very student-centered, and it'd be really hard to do this with someone who's a little more academic or lecture-based to get the feeling of a place-based cohort. So we're really grateful for Garrett.
My name is Emma. I'm a first-year MEM student. I grew up in Dolores, Colorado. My mom is super, she got a botany major and did land conservation work, so I think that really influenced me growing up. I went to San Diego and got my undergrad in ecology, behavior, and evolution, and then moved back here and worked in a restaurant for 3+ years. Still in a restaurant. Gotta love it. I recently stepped into a position with the Talking Gourds, which is a part of Tyrant Institute. So I'm acting as a co-director for that program. I work a lot with Joanne in the library, and we put on a lot of really cool events in Telluride. I love to write. I write poetry in my free time. Definitely. I think that writing and science have a really cool way of interacting. So I love to pursue that in a way that makes science more accessible for people that don't want to read scientific reports. I'm also very interested in wildlife biology, so I've worked a bit with Garrett on the Elk Valley floor study, and Paul and I both recently applied for a position with the county sage grouse coordinator. So if one of us got that, that'd be super cool to maybe do our $600 project. And that's mainly, habitat management and how to kind of integrate and manage that in Snow Creek and this area. So although I don't have a set $600 project, I do feel like a ton of resources have opened up since I started this program, which has been really cool to see.
Emma is a great example of how interdisciplinary program is, the Clark School is. We go from talking gourds to wildlife ecology, and We have just within the one school, there's faculty from 13 different environmental disciplines across humanities, social sciences, natural sciences. Derek, it's your turn to introduce yourself. I took your chair. Like a whole like Regina entrance. You're next. Derek.
I'm Derek Harwell. I teach environmental history and environmental ethics in the undergrad program for the environment sustainability program. And I'm also the community engagement coordinator for the MEM program. So I help to build and maintain relationships mostly in the Gunnison region so that we have quality places for and quality contacts for students in the where they will be doing their work.
He's the person to chase down if you want to continue the conversation. And another one of our graduate students.
I'll just add too, I've actually got a little sign-in sheet that we can pass around with to get names and emails. And so much of our stuff is actually better represented in a digital format. And so I can email you with links to all sorts of different things about the program here, our network, which Dr. John will show you. And I did bring some paper things because I know some people, Tim's got his collection are more tactile with that. So, do we need another pen? I can
Just a pen,
yeah.
And then
I may have taken that.
one of our
We're good.
okay, one of our graduate students works for the Telluride Institute as well, and just made an entrance.
Yay.
Hi, Regina Lopez White.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Regina Lopez White Skunk. I am a MEM student right now, and I also serve on the Telluride Institute board. Currently, I work part-time for the Montezuma Land Conservancy. And I brought two of my granddaughters with me who were on an adventure today because they have a 4-day school week. So they get Friday with grandma. This is Drea and Lily, and then my partner, Robert.
Ronnie, are you going to introduce?
Me?
You introduce yourself.
For sure. Hi, I'm Joanne Spindler. I work here at the Wilkinson Public Library, and I am wearing two hats today, one of which is that I'm here for the library because we're very interested in working with local graduate students on literally anything that we can do to assess in what you're doing. So I'm also here to chat to you afterwards about some of the stuff that we have to hopefully share with you. And also because other hat is because I'm really interested in environmental management, particularly as it intersects with humanity and culture building and story sharing and building family. And I live on the Mesa with Chris, and I just found out something new about you today. I also grew up in Fort Collins, so we share
There
that.
we go.
Yeah.
And she is our county poet laureate.
Thank you.
I just got that forwarded from the old Art Good Times.
Art is our
He's
big
pretty proud of
connector.
you.
Art is always, he's got all his
Congrats.
things. Thank you.
You can do a reading for us at the end?
You know, no, but
So I'm not going to talk for long. I definitely want Garrett and some of the cohort members to speak a bit. Maybe what I will do is just make it really simple here. The way this master's works is it's a 2-year master's. It can be done from the campus at Western and Gunnison or from anywhere in the world. People have done our masters, as you can see, from literally all over the world. Our classrooms all have a Zoom option. We were doing Zoom 5 years before COVID. So, we felt like we were able to serve our students pretty well during that. You can either do it from Gunnison both years. If you learn really well physically around professors, Gunnison the first year, and then do your second year project anywhere, or both years. We allow people to do our project, our program from their job and use their job as their project. That doesn't bother us. Or if people are looking to sort of rethink their future and they don't want to be tied to their current job, we allow them to try and emphasize anything out of this incredible network of organizations we have. In year one, it's coursework heavy. Okay. And so in year one, there are courses in environmental sciences, environmental policy, and in sort of environmental change-making skills. Okay. In year 2, there are 3 electives left, spread across the whole year. Students can take, in 5-week or 10-week blocks. There's a menu of 17 classes. And in year 2, beyond those 3 classes, the whole year is a 600-hour project completed from anywhere to extend the reach of an organization. Every organization has that dream to-do list that's on the back burner. So we love it when our students can get a project off the back burner, or we love it when students are at the forefront of what the organization is very much focused on. We're very flexible as long as the student enters a community with humility and listens to understand the strengths and assets and gaps of that community, and does a needs assessment in terms of where are they needed as partners, not as saviors, and to understand that 600 hours are limited. So what does the organization need from those 600 hours? What an organization gets is not only the 600 hours from that student, but also the faculty mentor. Each faculty member in the Clark School has 8 grad students, 4 first years, 4 second years. And so the organization also gets that sort of free PhD, if you will, as a partner in making sure the student provides something outstanding. And so collectively, as I said, when you add up all those 600-hour projects, we put out about 25,000 hours of projects worldwide per year. And so add a little Gunnison for a mini environmental Peace Corps. And we don't want Gunnison to hog that. And so we're excited to start new cohorts elsewhere. I'll just show you. So we designed this map here. Derek manages it. And you can look at it either geographically or thematically. So you can see all the places where these master's projects have happened, or you can just type in a word like climate and okay, here's a cool one in Delta Brick Company. This was a student named Jason who partnered with an engineer who wanted to start a company that turned 3 problems into a solution. Payonia Reservoir was filling up with sediment. The mines were closed and leaking methane, and miners were unemployed. So this engineer needed a business manager. That was Jason's master's project. It also became Jason's job. Love it when a job becomes a master's project, or when a master's project becomes a job. Love it. And what Jason did here was he helped them take sediment, right, employing former miners, using energy from methane leaks to make tiles and bricks. Don't you love stuff like that? Like, I know y'all are taking my climate class right now. I get a little doomy and gloomy sometimes, but isn't that cool? Right? And that's again, that's one of the 200 projects that have happened in 8 years. And so it's kind of fun. You can geek out in here and explore different themes.
So I was bragging on that a while ago, and I didn't even realize that was in Niceties.
Yeah.
That's way cool.
So Yeah, it's way cool. And I don't know how they're doing economically with COVID and everything, but I think they're trying. And the hardest part, I think, is where to locate it. But Garrett is going to share what this looks like if this whole global map just looked like Telluride with our first cohort. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, do you want to go by student?
However you would like.
Yeah, we can do that. So right now, Tessa, so she's working with the county on the payment for ecosystem services project. So soil health is what they're focusing on, encouraging ranchers. I think you have 3 current participants in the project, and most of those are on the west end of our county, so a little bit outside of Telluride, so a regional. As Paul said, Paul's been a Vista for TI. So he was AmeriCorps Vista for the past year. So he helped out a lot with our watershed education program. He also did a lot with the Fens up in the ski resort over the summer. So some of Chris's scientists, Paul was instrumental in kind of being the TI representative, helping collect data, and any kind of equipment needs and kind of logistical needs that they had. And then now he's kind of gone working with the San Miguel Watershed Coalition on some projects related to water quality and health, and that's, most of those are kind of west of here.
Yeah, there's a few projects that we're doing where like beavers are like becoming interfering with human infrastructure. We're installing like beaver levelers, which like regulate the size of the pond so it's not like spilling onto like trails or roads. So we're partnering, talking with the ski resort about putting in one of those levelers down by Adams Ranch Road. I think we're actually talking to the town of Ophir, CDOT. There's beaver damage like spilling out onto a road over there. So that's part of the project. And then we're also talking to other landowners in the Telluride area so far. We haven't actually gotten a lot of people on the west end. Interest quite yet.
Emma's talking boards, of course, with the Tyrant Institute. She's also helped out with our wildlife monitoring project that we started this year. So it's a citizen science initiative on the valley floor. We have 10 wildlife cameras out. We have 12 citizen science volunteers, as well as the 7th grade classroom middle school. In 1 year, they've sorted over 10,000 photos collected from those cameras, with the hopes that the town will use that information to more, I guess, plan trails with wildlife in mind, because they're looking to maybe expand the trail system on the valley floor. So now we have an idea of what the spatial distribution is. So our species of concern were elk. That's what we're mainly interested in. She's also helped with watershed education program a few times. Chris has worked on the climate action plan with Eco Action Partners, as well as his solar project for his final 600-hour project that's been local here in town. Leah's the top left. Leah's currently working with the Tyrant Institute's Indigenous program, which I think Regina has worked with her a little bit. She was a counselor this past summer on an outdoor leadership camp that we partnered with the Telluride Academy and the Montezuma Land Conservancy to kind of bring together kids that normally wouldn't be able to attend Telluride Academy, especially a 10-day program. So it's kind of like a cultural mixing outdoor leadership opportunity, where they spent half of their first week in this region, so our kind of watershed, and then they moved down to the Dolores, and then went to Fozzie's farm with NLC. Xander, who is the middle on the bottom, he is currently in talks with working with the ski resort on some sustainability plans for the resort. So it's kind of broad right now, but trying to emulate some of the initiatives that Dale and Aspen and some of the other larger ski resorts have put into place to make the resort more sustainable. So yeah, it's, I think, a very wide array of projects and interest, and kind of a spatial spread throughout our county. So it's not just here, we're also, if you live here, the West End is just important as the East End. So it's kind of important for us to not forget about the communities that are west of here as well. So I think they will all kind of introduce themselves into that mix. But yeah.
Gary, go ahead, please.
Oh, Phil. Yeah, so we have a new student who just came this.
I'm staying at Phil's apartment right now.
Nice. So Phil came in January. Phil actually got a job as the director of the wastewater management plant in town. So he was the wastewater management plant director in Crested Butte, and he was kind of a joke, I guess, at intensive, that he just kind of hung around with all of us all the time. We said eventually he'll probably move to Telluride.
So you adopted Phil.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Which is
Family building.
it's adopted. Yeah.
At the end of the intensive, we were like, you should probably make some other friends because you don't live in
Bill
Telluride.
actually took that photo.
He's also dating my sister.
Yeah.
Interesting recruitment.
Yeah, right?
I'm gonna have to borrow that.
I re-
They shall come.
Well, I recruited them at her twin's wedding, so whatever.
Yeah, so Phil's
His
there.
former position's still open.
Oh.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, man.
So I
You're
think
lost,
he's-
huh?
He's interested in introducing some more sustainable practices.
Love that.
Our wastewater treatment plants pretty much in capacity are here, so he's probably got a steep hill to climb as far as and he's actually going to Mexico for his Mexico City, I believe, for his project. So wastewater. So yeah,
It's a nice range of students, like Rex was telling you, we have the 3+2 student who's basically their senior year in college is their also counts as their first year, their master's, right? All the way ranging to people who are established in their careers, who are literally turning their job into their master's, with everything in between, and it's a nice range of experiences and ages.
Or even from like capacity from elected positions.
You're on the staff of Telluride Institute,
No, I'm
You're on the
on the
board.
staff of MLC, I'm on the board.
Montezuma Land Conservancy, you're on the board of TI, and you're one of our grad students, but you're your own person as well.
I'm confused.
So from that, and Regina Lopez Weiss is a very important voice in the West, especially when it comes to things like Bears Ears and San Juan as a unceded homeland. Anything you'd like to add in terms of like, what does it mean to have a master's level opportunity, project-driven program here in Telluride region to you?
One of the first things that I recognized was, first off, was the opportunity being offered by Western as a whole. I didn't anticipate the magnitude that it would play in the discussion and even my curiosity about something that was so important. And my project, I think I've even considered changing it, but I think other things have told me and indicated that this project and the subject is very, very important, very relevant, and very current. Although it has historical roots as one of, which started out as a treaty, but now operates as a federal government agreement between the Utes, the Southern Utes and the Ute Mountain Ute in the San Juan, which is the Bruno hunting and fishing. It started out as a treaty, wasn't solidified because it happened during the time the negotiations were occurring during the time period when the federal government stopped establishing treaties with tribes. And so from that point, it moved on to becoming an agreement, and to this day is still in operation. I've almost changed my project, but
Did you say that around me?
I know, I know. I almost shifted. But, I think one of the things that have become so relevant is the opportunity to work with Montezuma Land Conservancy and how that has tied very closely to what is important to me, which is tribal engagement, and trying to bring forth those voices and ensure that they're at the table from the very high levels of agency, the federal government, as well as local agencies and even at the state level. I didn't realize how important that was until like now, how things are just kind of evolving in relationship to the Bruno hunting and fishing. There's proposed changes, and there's always that ever loving transfer of land from either public land status into private. When land shifts from that, what really occurs is indigenous land loss. Indigenous land loss includes access. It also includes just the simple fact that having the opportunity to practice and visit those places is completely cut off. But what I am becoming more aware of and in working with MLC is that there may be creative mechanisms. And so through looking at some of this, now I'm really seeing the need to make sure that we stay in those conversations, but even more so, how important my project really is going to be at the end of the day. Just because this could be one of those projects, one of those opportunities that really proposes some sense of healing, but some sense of being able to work with one another in the same space in relationship to land. It's that important because as Indigenous people, and I can say this worldwide, the one thing that we cannot be stripped from, we cannot be separated, conversations cannot be had in little silos is the fact that who we are, our identity, our cultural beliefs, our ceremony, our language, everything is tied to land. When that land loss occurs, it begins to erode at who we are. It erodes at the mere fact that we won't be able to do things and even be able to teach our children and grandchildren things that our ancestors and elders were able to do. It's a complete loss. And so, at some point during a lot of my inner working on the coalition, when I was serving as a tribal council member for my tribe, one of the things that was really eating at my heart was when land goes out into privatization and we don't have that access anymore, it just seemed hopeless. I wasn't aware of any creative mechanisms or any possibilities out there. And so it really did seem like, it was interesting, walking down the street and my granddaughter observes, there's a dead end. And that's what it felt like. That's what it feels like when you see a dead end. And my answer to her was, as opposed to a light end. And what does that look like? And that's where we think of our culture as being alive. And so, every time we tell a story, every time the language is spoken, every time a song is sung, and every time a young person picks that up, that's breathing life into culture, into our identity, and seeing that having the possibility to live on. And then you begin to see, as opposed to that dead end, you have a live end. You create that live end, and having that access to land is who we are. How do we know this? Our documentation is written on the walls of the family. Prejudice is off cut. Whatever is left out on the land speaks for itself. But that's where it's all recorded for us. If we don't have this access, we don't have that little bit of life to continue on in our culture and our belief. Why the Bruno hunting and fishing is so important. The treaty to the people is all in the action. There's an interesting conversation yesterday I had with the Nature Conservancy and my executive director. And one thing that although I had to leave the meeting a little bit early, after I left the meeting, I really thought long and hard about what we were talking about. And one of the things that struck me so obvious was the amount of our young people and our people engaging in hunting and fishing today. Not nearly the numbers.
Really?
Not nearly the numbers. Why that happens is a lot of it is because of the lack of access. Although we do have the treaty in place or the agreement in place, each tribe has an office that distributes tags and unit locations that you get to hunt in, or you get to be out on the land.
that doesn't always mean you have access to the entire hunting area. That just means you get access to a unit. And there's only so many that are allowed out there. And because of that, I feel, and I've observed the decline in hunting and providing that source of food in the manner that our people used to.
You need to name your memoir Live Ends.
As opposed to dead ends.
That's right.
You mind if I open it up a little bit?
Sure.
Let's hear it for those.
Thank you.
And I think it's worth hanging out with her afterwards to talk about the Bruno Treaty. It's powerful in terms of thinking about the ancestral memory of the San Juans and the future of the San Juans. Incredibly important. I'd like to open up for any questions, but also, yes, there's the practicalities of, what does it mean for one who wants to do a master's here? What does it mean for an organization who wants a master's student? How can one from the community support this effort? But I think I'd be open to a conversation around how could this place be a laboratory for the good life in the West, even more than it already is, to have this intersection of a university and such a creative community. So I'd just like to open it up to any comments or questions.
One thing that I thought was cool is as like classes have progressed, we've done projects for the sake of them being projects that have kind of morphed into something that could be like a 600-hour project. I know last semester, Tessa and Paul and Xander and I worked on a town of Telluride plan, how we could introduce composting into the town, because it really doesn't exist here outside of Butcher and Baker, who has their private trailer that anyone can go walk to. So we reviewed this old plan that was a zero waste plan of how we could actually get composting into the town, and we kind of like built our own vision of how we could do that, what that would look like for families. It was cool when we presented it, everyone was kind of like, all right, well, like, when is this gonna happen? Like, well, that's gonna take a lot of support and a lot of people like getting behind us, but we have a solid foundation for something that could roll out in the town to create composting here, which is just cool because Telluride is such an environmentalist, like sustainable town that doesn't compost really. So it's just cool to see like these ideas come out of the class project.
Well, and that's true. In the first year, there are many projects and that could become master's projects. And I'm having Derek put his password in because one of the categories in that map I showed you is it's kind of becoming a dating site professionally, because under orange, an organization can work with Derek to get an orange tab on here. So let's say, for example, Emma's group, let's say that the city really wanted that program to happen, but none of them wanted to do composting for their master's project. They could have someone from the city contact Derek, and Derek could get that potential project up here. And then as the new group of students come in August, like here's one in Uganda that is just waiting for a student. Right, and so you can either get in here just to understand the history of who we are, but also if you're a organization looking for a student, you can find that on here. If you're an organization wanting a student, you could put the project on here and then the student looks for the organization. But Emma's absolutely right. In the first year, there are a lot of projects that just come out of the classes. What students are working on projects in EMBS 615 right now? Okay, so what you want to share what those projects are? Our climate action class.
Oh, yeah. I was actually going to be told Dr. Regina about this, but we're working with Phil at the wastewater treatment plant, designing like an internship program for like minority and underrepresented groups to get involved in wastewater treatment. It's like more sustainable wastewater treatment. So Phil was saying that there's like a big gap in the workforce there, and so these internship opportunities in Telluride would allow people to gain the skills and certifications necessary to work in wastewater treatment, either here or take that with them to other places. So
cool.
yeah, that's kind of what I think all of us are working on.
Yeah.
It's cool because we would like potentially, if this went into fruition, be able to provide housing, like pay the intern for coming up with ways to like integrate the like student or intern into the community. Phil was just saying it's really hard to gain certifications needed to go into a wastewater treatment job. So this opportunity would allow someone to come in, get paid, have housing, and learn a ton, and then either take it back to their community or like take it anywhere. So that's the project we're working on right now.
Did someone say housing?
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah.
To be frank, John,
So
just to be frank, we're looking at, a generation that is already too far in debt for education. On top of that, some of these students have to find $2,000 a month just to live here. And so we've had some generous donors come through to help with some things, to help with tuition. We have not practically built on housing with this Telluride cohort yet, not at all.
I think you just gave Chris an idea of raising the rent.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Back to the livestock for you, Chris. And then Regina had a question.
I did. How does an organization begin either conversation or go down the road of partnering with Western, to get to those points of interns or fellows or whatever that may be?
Well, we have, first of all, Tyrant Institute, I think, is in a really exciting moment with this cohort because, I know there are 11 organizations right here just in Telluride. CI is able to farm out master's students. And so first and foremost would be to talk with Tucker, who's in the upper left corner there. But also, this is Derek's job. Derek, do you want to talk a little bit about how you work with organizations to help them begin imagining a project?
I mean, it tends to be fairly organic, at least in the Gunnison area, and I imagine Telluride's got a similar feel to it in terms of a mountain town of having connections and knowing people in and around the valley and having conversations, and oftentimes that leads to the possibilities sort of emerging. Sometimes it's we met with somebody this morning who was in a very fancy office in Dallas, and he had a whole project and a plan and what he specifically wanted a graduate student to do
And funding.
How
much did he say he had?
30 million. It's an idea to work with some farms in the Delta area that grow hemp to be able to utilize that to actually create bioplastics. So very exciting possibility there with huge implications of where that could go. With the organic nature of relationship, I think, is the underlying key component to all of our projects, more so than I've got this idea and that's what's going to drive it forward, is having that sense of relationship. And over the years, Western, and then in particular the MEM program, has created our own sense of value within the community. I mean, people know somebody who did a project here, or they came and worked for them after they finished their MEM, and that just builds success upon success through those relationships and history that's continuing to emerge and grow.
Tucker and Dan, I believe Professor Dan Collins is on there as well, from both Arizona State and the president of the Telluride Institute. I see a J, which suggests a TI founder, John Littenzolin. But anyone from TI want to add to that, just in terms of how a community member can get involved connecting with a student? You have to talk really loud, though.
Well, I might just welcome everybody, and Dan Collins here, president of the board for the Telluride Institute. And the conversation with Western has just been fantastic, because the problem over the years has been how to build capacity. And So this partnership with the MEM program in particular suddenly gives us a way to actually realize ideas in the landscape that were just sort of vaporware before. So in terms of our board, we've got a lot of diversity and interesting people with their fingers in a lot of different pies. I mean, you could just anyone could send an email to any board member and that would be the beginning of a conversation. And I think a lot of things happen that way, just in a more organic way, as has been mentioned.
And I just had a great talk with Chris Holstrom the other day, just about also really thinking about what are the most pressing needs of our community. And if we could have, the towns and county come together to just really outline what are the largest goals moving forward and how could we find a fellow to put to work on some of those issues. I think that would be a wonderful collaboration that would enable students to be working on incredible projects and also have our community tackle some of these larger issues that we just don't have enough people and consultants within our own community, and we're having to rely on outside contractors that really don't understand a lot of the complexities about our community.
I would add also that if you just go to the website, TellurideInstitute.org, you'd be able to get a quick sort of picture of the range of projects and programs that we have going, and something might catch your eye that is of interest, and you could reach out to the program director for that particular project, be it the FENS program or the watershed education program. I had a curriculum project for water quality called SCAPE, and I'd really love to get involved with the grad students and have them engaged in that high school level curriculum. I saw Rex in the room, Rex Librand. He was involved in helping develop that curriculum. And it's really, the result of 4 years of work with EPA funding. And it's really, at this point, has 20 schools across the entire Mountain West, including Gunnison High School. So Crystal Brown at Gunnison High School is one of our teachers, and she's been fantastic to work with, and that's right in your own backyard. So there's different ways of getting involved through the projects on the TellurideInstitute.org website.
Yeah, and I think unless anybody, thank you, Dan, it's good to see you, and Tucker. Unless someone has a tip of their tongue question, that one thing I would suggest is sort of breaking up the larger group. And if you'd like to talk about a student perspective on what it would be like, if you know someone or want to learn about what it means to get a master's in this program, maybe grab Garrett here for a couple minutes. If you're an organization that's trying to think through how to connect with all this, maybe grab Derek. And if you're wondering, just how can I support this in general, maybe grab me. So thanks, everyone. Oh, Tim.
What is the average tuition to get a master's?
Average in the US? I
No,
don't
no,
know.
for this program.
This program, tuition and fees, right, all told, per year is about 18,000 for everything, tuition and fees, fall, spring, summer. So 36,000 total for this master's.
And if somebody has a job unrelated to the program, how many hours a week should they have free?
Let's ask the students, how much do you put into this program per week? And would you like me to leave the room?
So I work about 25 to 30 hours in a restaurant a week. I work 15 hours for the talking boards, 10 to 15 a week.
What do you put into classes?
Classes probably 10 to 15 to 20, depending on. So I'm a busy gal, but I make it work, and it's great. I feel very lucky to live here and get my master's. It's a lot of things I have going, but.
So 15 to 20 hours a week, 18,000 a year.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment. It really is. And we have the classes at night so that folks can work. And again, they can do it from distance if needed. and every class is recorded. So if they're working in the field, like if people from public lands agency, they're out working out, fighting a wildfire or something, that week's classes were recorded. So
And what is the average starting salary of a graduate?
that I don't know, but I can tell you, we recently, about a year and a half ago, looked at, it's about 85% employment rate 6 months after graduation. Chris, were you gonna say something about the workload?
Tim, we have found that even though since the inception of the program, tuition continues to go up, that the actual cost that students pay has gone down as we've added fellowships and grants and different things like that.
We just had a major $5.5 million gift from a gentleman in Denison that has really helped. We had 3 donors come through a year ago that's helped with this cohort. But yeah, it's we're always looking for people who want. Here's the dirty secret of everything we've talked about tonight, Tim. And it's just between me and Tim. Everyone else hold your ears. As cool as it is to have 25,000 hours a year, 25,000 hours a year of projects, getting things done. The tragedy here is that the labor force of this work is going into debt to do it. And so we're working real hard to get support for them.
I do want to add, if you are, and I encourage this, if you are honored to be able to help with an Indigenous student, I know that the Colorado universities and colleges have within this past year have allowed for certain aspects of tuition to be handled through the state that gives students a little bit of a break.
Very cool.
So I don't know if you knew about that, but
Are you gonna send me something about it?
no. Yeah, I actually I had heard about this from the state legislatures, that this was a bill that we have been trying to pass for the past several years.
But it's fast.
And it finally got passed last year, so it's something that I know when we brought ALCC to campus, that was one of the things that is hot on a lot of Indigenous students, because we're just, I mean, any student, when you think about going into debt for your education, that'll be the one thing that will deter your whole
And
process.
the reason our career placement rate is so high is that a lot of master's programs, you do your internship after your master's. We just made the second year, the internship and call it a master's project, which helps, but Regina's right, there's still that issue. More good times. I'll use that. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, really. And again, Garrett's a good person to chat with here while you're milling around about, is this a good fit for you or someone you know? Derek about how do I get a project, how do I get a grad student to get something done? And I'm here to just talk about what could this be. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah.
Little heads up, we have to start getting ready for another event in here in about 15 minutes. However, tons of space in the library if you want to kind of break into other spots, like whatever feels
All right,
like.
thank you.
So,
So
yeah.
within the next 10 minutes, we're milling and we're moving. We're milling and moving.
No rush, just a heads
I'll
up.
send an email out.
What's your next
We have a movie night tonight with free pizza. You guys are invited. Everybody's invited. Hi, folks. Great to see you. We'll share this recording with you, Tucker.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, thanks for dealing with the tech limitations today. We have some very high-tech stuff that's designed to have a following camera for all of this, and I wish we had had a heads up about what this was going to look like, because I would have had it all set up for you. But next time, maybe we'll have a heads up and we'll be all ready for it.
All good.
We appreciate being included. Thanks a lot, Joanna.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Yeah.